guys, welcome back to the channel. This is my Lofty Souls LUFENIA Plus run. This is Sid Reigns LUFENIA Plus mission, and I did pull for Sid Reigns. The video was super corrupted. It would freeze all the time. It was all glitchy, so I did pull for Sid Reigns. I got all his kit within about 5 gem pulls, so about 30,000 tickets. Wasn't too bad. I knew I was gonna go for him. He sets the limit, I think, for damage. For damage dealing at this point, and I started off with Warrior of Light's LD because the boss does have the freeing turn with the full recast, and the attack Tempest will do a lot of damage, literally kill you if you don't have some type of damage mitigation or whatever it is. And while his turn is framed, I think you can't break him, you can't delete his turn, things like that. You can't insta break him. And after that, once he takes that turn, you're good to go. You can just start dishing out a bunch of damage. One thing to consider is that at 69%, it's gonna trigger storing nutrients, which batteries him about 150% of his max brave. Then he becomes again immune to instant break for 1 turn, and also is gonna trigger something called regenerative powers rising, which gives him HP and brave regen. But you can take this away by just launching him and doing 200,000 damage or more, so it's not too bad. And then at 49%, he's gonna took an offensive posture again, which that's the HP damage dealt, things like that. And then you can't break him, stuff like that. And then also again doing the storing nutrients, so he's gonna continuously keep doing stuff like this. And then he does only regenerative powers rising, which is the HP regen, brave regen, at 29%. But again, you just launch him, do 200k plus damage, HP damage, and you're good to go. And then at 90%, he does one final storing nutrients, which the storing nutrients is when he batteries himself and is immune to break for 1 turn. The boss's orb will tick up if you end up launching the boss, but it's only going to go, I think, +1, so that's not really the way to go about it. Now, you can make the orb go up by 8 if you launch the boss and do 250k HP damage during the launch. And I believe that the attack that actually launches him won't count towards that damage. So bringing in Yuna, Ishtola, Setzer, somebody that really increases batteries and stuff like that, and increases brave gains, is gonna be huge help here. You can see Sid Reigns right there did 1.4 million damage. This man is insane. He's doing with one move what other characters' whole burst phase will do. At this point, there's characters that are going to be coming out that their LDs are going to be just literally like the damage of a burst phase from other units. Now here I did decide to go with Yuna just because I think a lot of people had Yuna, Sid Reigns, and Setzer, and I was tempted to do the whole Afmal and Sid Reigns cheese where Afmal brings Sid Reigns up, and then Sid Reigns brings Afmal back up, things like that, and they're just keep swapping turns, or they keep moving each other's turns up. And I was tempted to do that, but I would have thought a lot of people might have not pulled for Afmal, but I could be wrong. But just I don't think there was a lot of hype behind Afmal compared to maybe like Sid Reigns or Yuna, stuff like that. So I decided to burst early there with Yuna. Now I could have left Setzer in there and uses LD, and both Sid Reigns would have been hitting for like one mil or plus. I decided just to keep Yuna in there. If I were to go back, I would probably have replaced Yuna with the friend unit and kept Setzer in there. And so here, now that right now he had hit 69%, you see that he did have the storing nutrients, regenerative powers rising, but took that away right away with just 1 launch from either Sid Reigns. And then as far as friend units go, I only brought Warrior of Light for damage mitigation for 2 of the enemy's turns. I think he does a Tempest twice. He does one in the beginning, and then he does one I think later on during the match, and that's what a Warrior of Light was here to do. Then I did bring also Jack's Call here as well, just to be able to do a little bit more damage. The Brave reductions and stuff like that, Brave game reductions and defenses on Lufenia Plus is just insane. It's so crazy. And it just, I don't know, it feels like a lot of the resources that, at least that I use to upgrade certain characters and pull, seems like so many characters kind of got phased out, and it wasn't really worth pulling. Kind of learned my lesson on spending so many resources on units just because they might have been good for 1 or 2 stages, things like that. I think at this point my suggestion to everybody would be to really save your resources and pull, you know, try to beat the Lufenia Plus stages, and then see if you can't, then pull for maybe the character that can help you defeat the stage. But other than that, I will not be pulling on characters just because there's hype around them or whatever it is. I feel like one of those characters is, like, for example, like Ace. I want to green Ace because I know that he's worth it, but I know that you could also use him a lot and he's very useful even without greening him. So I think I also want to save my resources to green somebody that I feel like at that point in time in the game I actually need them. So here I think where he's at 49% now, so he triggered an offensive stance, so now his turn is framed, he has his recast up, and you really don't have too much to worry about. I mean, you could be delaying the boss, things like that, as long as you're launching him and you're doing that 250k plus HP damage during launch. You could bring in, there's a lot of different characters that you could use for this stage. There's people that have used Sephiroth, Sid Reigns, and Aphmau. Then you can also do like even Noctis, Aphmau, and Sid Reigns. At that point you will need some type of, I think, damage mitigation, or you might not even allow the boss to potentially even take a turn with them. Then like Ishtola, Edward, Sid Reigns. There are people that have not brought Sid Reigns and used like Yuna, Aurum, and Tifa. I think that is going to be, I think the channel of the creator is DFFOO GL which is SO. Yeah, I think he did it with Yuna, Aurum, and Tifa. So there are ways to defeat the boss, and you don't have to bring in Sid Reigns and stuff like that. It's just Sid Reigns is going to make it, I think, a lot easier. You could also bring somebody like Xdeath. I've been wanting to use Xdeath. I'll probably be using him here in some future content. Really like Xdeath's kit and stuff like that. It's super different. And at this point, now that with the boss he's around 50%, it's just a damage race. That's really what it is. Other than that, there's really nothing else really to the boss. You just have to be careful with his with his recast and that Tempest attack, just figuring out a way to either avoid the attack completely. If you're going to take the damage, you're just gonna have to bring some type of damage mitigation, and I think that those are going to be the two things that, or the two times you're gonna have to really watch out for him. If he's taking consecutive turns, then yeah, you're gonna have a lot more to deal with. But since you're gonna have to do launch, you know, in this stage, I think that not letting him, or letting him take the least amount of turns as possible is better. I mean, I think that goes for almost most boss stages, or any stage, right? Where the less turns the boss takes, the better it's going to be. So yeah, knockback does increase the orb by 1, and then you increase it by 8 by doing that 250k damage. So you are gonna have to bring units that allow that battery the party, increase brave gains, and things like that. Also, with this boss, one thing that you're gonna have to watch out for is going to be the fact that when he reaches 49%, he's gonna have a 200% boost to all his stats. So again, this whole I mean, that's just kind of what Lufenia Plus is insane defenses. And I plan on probably using Setzer for a lot of Lufenia Plus missions up until probably when Orin and Garland and Garnet, I think that by that time there's going to be enough characters that are going to allow me to not, have to use really Setzer. And I don't even have to use Setzer now. It's just he makes it so easy. It kind of maximizes a lot of characters' damage and their potential and what they can do. Porum is another great unit. I haven't even used Porum, but I know that Porum, I have Porum maxed out. I'll probably try to put Porum on my team here in the upcoming events. It's just that, again, with work, I am having a hard time keeping up with content, so I'm just trying to get through it as fast as possible, because obviously then you have to record, upload, all this other stuff. So I do plan on using other units, because other units definitely could be used. You don't have to always use Setzer. And yeah, the one that I also want to use, I just never really used her, was Ishtola. I do have her burst. I got it way back when it first came out, and I haven't even really used her either. And same thing, I think you can even use Bart's, like Bart, Sid Reigns, and Aphmau. Porum, Sid Reigns, and probably like Kieran. There's a lot of different combinations that you could use, and even like a Porum, Setzer, and Tifa, because Tifa, does launch as well. So it's not an undoable stage if you don't have like certain characters. I guess you can say, like, it doesn't have to be Setzer, it doesn't have to be Sid Reigns, things like that. Yuna does come in handy, and then pairing her up with like Porum or something like that, to just help your damage dealer do all the damage that needs to be done. And from here moving on forward, like I said, I'm definitely gonna be very conservative on resources, not just pulling just to pull. The next pull that I'm gonna skip so many banners, so this is not a spoiler, but I'm not gonna be pulling on a lot of characters that are gonna be coming up here. And some of those characters are going to be, for example, I don't know if I'm gonna end up doing Lon and Rain. I might use some tickets for that, but I'm not gonna be pulling on Vayne. Nothing wrong if you do. Great character, things like that. He just requires some setup, and I rather skip Vayne and go for, since I already have Garland. I think if you're going to go for a burst, I would probably go more for Garland's burst over Vayne's. That's my personal opinion. I already have Garland's burst, so I necessarily don't have to go with Vayne. And Garland in the future is going to provide just an insane amount of auras to the party, and also he delays with everything he does. So yeah, that's my plans. I'm skipping like 3 or 4 banners because I think I have the team, especially with Setzer and, like, for example, Sid Reigns and stuff like that, and even with Ace. I don't really need to pull on anybody. There's nothing that somebody brings that I already don't have. So if you kind of have the same characters that I have here, I think you're going to be good with Agrius. Agrius is going to be amazing for future content. Yuna, Sid Reigns, and Setzer, and then Ace as well. If you have that team right there, I think you're going to be able to go through a lot of the future content without having to spend so much, because from here on out it's either waiting for really good LD, or if you're going to green somebody and go for a burst, you're going to have to spend an insane amount of resources. So here again with the boss, nothing to it. You can delay the boss forever until they reach a certain threshold where then you can't, his turn is framed. The only thing to really worry about is being able to increase the orb, so just bringing in some type of launcher, and then somebody to increase that launcher's damage during the launch phase, just to make that orb tick up. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. Just 2 big attacks. If you're not letting him attack often, you just have to watch out for those 2 Tempest attacks. And you'll see that also I don't try to get perfect passives or artifacts or put a lot of artifacts. I would say if you have a very limited time, grind resources. Yep, good luck. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. Also, let me know in the comment section what you think about this mission and who you used to complete it. Check the links in the description for Opera Omnia websites that give you a bunch of helpful information, and I'll see you on the next one.